We will play 50 military games that nobody plays. Empty worlds and missions no one has ever done. We'll try these obscure, dead and abandoned games, starting with this $0 game, getting more expensive, going from $5 games to $20 games, all the way up to this $190 game. Will it be worth the price? All the games in this video together cost $570. We'll find hidden gems, mysterious worlds, and of course, stuff like the first game. Playing it, I was immediately stunned. Literally, because I spawned in a lake and couldn't move at all. What now follows was an absolute fever dream, but only the first out of so many insane experiences. I started exploding and respawning all the time. Then for some reason I got yeeted into the air. I couldn't get up, but started to explode over and over again. When it stopped, I got hit by a random beam and music started playing. Super fun. Vibing to the music, I destroyed some enemies. Then realized I had superpowers. I activated a force shield and destroyed an enemy. Then I found a jump skill and jumped around a bit until I jumped into the abyss, which made me start to explode again. The reviews were right. This is true art. I have different expectations for a $5, $10 or $200 game, but for a free game, why not? This is far from the worst today. The next games were all unique in their own way. There was Steel Oceans, which looked like World of Warships, felt like World of Warships. Yeah, it was basically World of Warships. Then there was Ice Storm, which somehow already had my Steam password when I started it. I didn't give it away, and a review said that someone in China had stolen the data he used for this game, and with the warning, use at your own risk. And even though it steals your data, you don't even get a game. You can't play or even log in. Then there was Heroes in the Sky. It says the English language is not supported, so I expected to see only Chinese. Starting the game, they try to sell you, I don't even know what they try to sell you. You cannot log in or play the game, but a positive is definitely that they now have support for the English language. In fact, they only have support for the English language. You cannot even switch. But this scam was nothing compared to the scams I would experience later. The first paid game cost me 99 cents. Not much money compared to what the games will be costing later on, but I still expect something for my money here. Battle Simulator is a classic battle simulator. Who could have guessed with that name? All you can really decide is the starting position, but finding a good starting position isn't as easy as you might think. Trust me, I tried position after position, but only after a lot of trial and error, I found the one to rule them all. In the front, you put the soldiers with the heaviest defenses. In the back, you put bowmen. This way, overall, you have very high defensive power, because half of your units aren't even being attacked. And you also have high offensive power, because your bowmen and your foot soldiers attack at the same time. Works a lot of the time, pretty nice. This game was fun. Later on, we will have a simulator where we can control 1,000 men. Literally. Area 51 Defense. This game promised me the military base Area 51. It promised me aliens and excitement. What did I get? An infinite number of Naruto runners running towards me, as a reference to the Storm Area 51 meme, and gameplay that is insanely underwhelming at the very least. It is always the same, and you can literally get all achievements of the game in 10 minutes of playtime. Definitely a cash grab, but not the worst on this list. Even for some of the most expensive games, you can see how they literally calculated how much they could take of you while giving the lowest possible product. And just like that, we crossed the $1 mark. This game is almost twice as expensive as the previous one. But is it also twice as good? Not that that would be hard. In City Air Battle, you fly with your jet in New York. Ah, beautiful New York. For a game called City Battle, it's weird that the first two missions have no battle in them. But after progressing in the third mission, you finally get to destroy other jets. Now, how would a jet destroy its enemies? Exactly, by crashing into them. I don't know why, but it was solely based on crashing. Maybe you can unlock weapons later, I thought, so I kept going. I crashed into 5 enemies, but after doing so, It still said I have 0 kills. I couldn't even finish the level. I thought I would never experience the true glory of the later levels, but I found out you don't even have to do them in order. You can just skip to higher levels if you want. And in level 10, the game finally lived up to its name. I made a beautiful discovery. Jets that actually shoot. Nice. And what did they shoot? Cannonballs? Jets that shoot cannonballs? Oh nah. But this was not nearly as bad as the jet game I'll show you in a minute. Before, Wings Over Europe. This game is from 2006 and looked very promising. Like some other games today, it just radiated nostalgia and the special feeling you get when you play an older, awesome game. The little flying I could do felt pretty nice, and sometimes it was running smoothly, though it was a bit hard to get used to the controls because it's kind of laggy and yeah, from 2006. But this was only the first old game, actually the weakest out of all of them. As you will see later, the older games tend to be the good ones. But before we see anything that could be called good, Airstrike. It has one level with exactly one map. The only noticeable difference between the modes is that it can be day and it can be night. The planes are all the same, and let's say I can see why it has 0 players. The worst thing is, this isn't the only game like this. Literally, I found out that it's an asset flip. A complete copy of someone else's work with 0 effort invested by the creator. And there is a second game called not Airstrike, no, Air Fighter, that looks exactly the same. Same maps, same side menu, same weapon count, only the studio is different. From here on, it feels like we will actually be getting real, interesting and unique games, and not asset flips or whatever the first one was. We're getting slowly closer to $5, and you can tell. Initially I thought 1000 Man General is a game where you just run into the enemy troops and maybe it works out, maybe not. And that's exactly what it is, but it was surprisingly fun. Okay, we'll attack him like this. Are you ready? Haha, the armies look huge. I can't do much except pressing attack though. Maybe if I attack from the back? Victory. Though, I'm kind of stuck just attacking. Maybe I can use some tactics. Let's try to pull a sneaky one from the side. Yes, just as I wanted. Let's go around and hit them from the back. Guys? Where are you going? We can start turning now? Guys? Okay, we kinda did it. Let's go! I said let's go! This is not taking a stroll, we're fighting a battle. Run into them, they're not even looking. Look, just like this. The only thing that separates this game from greatness is control and progression. During the game, you can't change the path. You can just say attack or defend, which doesn't even seem to make much of a difference. And that's kind of the issue. It doesn't feel very tactical to me. I like the previous battle simulator more, to be honest, but we aren't done with battle simulators overall. Later on, we will find out what happens if you make 18 weaponized pigs fight a T-Rex in Beast Battle Simulator. Who would win? But for now, next we have Combat Rush. Combat Rush reminds me of something. You can pick up soldiers who follow you. Together you form a line, which can only go one direction. Almost like if you run into an enemy, you gotta fight him, and if you run into something, you die. It's literally... yeah, it's Snake. This is literally Snake, but they put military on it. And I like it. Commander World War II was fun. A game I would have even placed in the $15 range. When I first played it, I was confused. I didn't know the basics and got demolished. I knew you could capture red team's bases after you had destroyed them, and I knew that owning them is good because it gave you boni and new troops. The only problem, I just didn't understand how to capture the base. I tried standing on it, I tried clicking on it, nothing. I couldn't figure it out. In the end, I got brutally destroyed because the enemies could create an infinite amount of troops out of their base, and I was stuck with just my starting set. I was furious. I really wanted to beat the red team. So I watched the tutorial. It literally took 10 seconds until I saw that there was this capture flag in the bottom left all along. Oh man, I just hadn't seen it. Now I had all the knowledge I needed. And you know what they say. Knowledge is power. First, I concentrated my troops on these two cities and captured them. After I was done, I was getting 1,500 credits per round, 3 times as much as I even had in the end of the last game. Then I focused on each of the red team's spawning points, which is where I failed last time. It was a little tough, but in the end, I got red team surrounded. The next game is one out of few today where you've just never seen anything like it, and won't ever again. In depopulation, you wage war on the entire world, but there will be a twist. First, we need to choose a country. Of course, let's go with Vatican State. What? They don't have the Vatican? Where's Luxembourg? Okay, this game officially doesn't recognize the Vatican or Luxembourg as countries. Let's do America then. Now, the real enemy in this game is carbon dioxide. To save the world from climate change, we have to get rid of it. And how do we do that? We reduce the human population who produces carbon. Could America, all on its own, take over the world? I first tried to go the wholesome road, maxing green energy sources, killing nobody, just basically buying their loyalty. I was actually doing quite well. But I had no soldiers and was pretty defenseless, so when the Bahamas suddenly attacked, they destroyed my entire empire in one move. Okay, we're gonna do this differently this time. Crazy concept for a game, but pretty fun. And if you think this is a unique concept, later on we'll have a game that's even more unbelievable. Helicopter dating simulator. Whatever you're thinking, it will be worse than that. A little warning for the next game. This would usually be $10, but I got it on sale. The $10 ones are often more unique and polished, but you can also lose more on them if they're garbage. World War II bunker simulator. To survive in the bunker, we gotta get ourselves a bunker. We gotta clear it out. Oh man, he's shooting at me. You sure you want to do this? Your aim is really bad, I'm sorry. Well, okay. Here the next one. I can't shoot him in the back. That would be outright unfair. I wanna get close to him. And I can't throw the knife either. Man, stop your dancing, I wanna fight. Bro, really? You can't even hear the shots? Oh man. This is the last one. Oh, what? Okay, GG. We have the bunker, guys, great. And for the rest of the time, we gotta survive. So we do chores. Gotta keep the stove clean, cook and stir my food, clean my weapons, that sort of thing. Doing all that made me realize that I'm not ready to be in a bunker. I almost failed day one because I was too incompetent to solve the puzzle of cleaning my weapons. It got dark and the time almost ran out. I almost failed at the task of cleaning my weapons. So when the enemies attacked, what do you think happened to a guy that cannot even clean his weapons? Yeah, no, I'm not fit for the life in a bunker. Some games were surprising, like Desert Gunner. Even the trailer, which should be the best part of the game, looked boring. So when I started it, I already had a feeling that this would be another bad game. But playing it did something with me. This game radiates the feeling of playing some flash game you found with your friends after school. And let me tell you, it was actually pretty fun and engaging. The nostalgic feeling probably comes from the 2006 release date. Yeah, it doesn't have the most complex gameplay, but it's just fun to shoot the enemies. And then there is this absolute rush of adrenaline when you're at 2% health, but can't see the end, and there's an enemy and you're just so close to winning and actually manage it. It's fun, exciting, and all the while giving you nostalgic vibes and reminding you of better times. Desert Gunner from 2006 felt nostalgic, but it's only the third oldest game today. Later on, we'll have Vietnam Soldiers from 2005 and then Comanche 4 from 2002, more than 2 decades old. Desert Gunner was a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. My Empire, on the other hand, wasn't. This game cost more than $3, but I wouldn't play it for free. I don't really know who this is for. For a strategic game, it's very simple, but for an arcade game, it's very slow and you don't have many options. Maybe it just went over my head, but from what I've done, meh. Now, the rest of the games before the $5 mark, some of them are just insane, like Bear's Vodka Balalaika, to which we'll get to in a minute. Meanwhile, others drove me insane, like Wings of Prey. No, not them. This is their game. I didn't know. The Snail. For anyone that doesn't know, these are the guys that made the game that broke me. Twice.
Leave me alone!
And now a third time, because all I wanted to do was play it, but I needed a connection. For that, you need to log in into the launcher, but I don't have an account, so I needed to register. When I tried to register a new account, they said the servers were down, so I tried the other way of registering, their website, but their website was down. On Steam they said it's available on the Gaijin page, which it wasn't. Some support page said that you need to redeem the code in the launcher, where it isn't. And so, I was back in the launcher. But registering still didn't. Winter War. The trailer looks absolutely epic. I would have loved to ride a sleigh with reindeers and shoot around with a shotgun, but the game doesn't start. You're stuck in this screen. I let it load for 1 hour, but it didn't start. And it's just amazing to me that these games provide zero value, but cost something, while others cost nothing and are literally 100 times better. The more expensive games, $5, $10, $20, are often worth it, but if something is missing, it just hurts that much more. In the next game, you can fly your jet on Google Maps, which is a cool concept, but they wasted it. The latest update of this game says, will update in next month, and it was released in July 2023. The idea is cool, but that's all that it is. Doesn't matter if you choose 500 bots or 10. It will always be laggy and not fun at all. You can't even shoot anything, the shots just don't land. Brutally disappointing. But at least the next game. The next game is really something special, because in the history of gaming, no, in the entire universe, from all the games that have existed and will exist, this game is definitely one of them. You shoot enemies and defend your base. Very nice, but not much to say. Fog of War. The next game we're gonna play is a book? It's a book? It's a book! It's a $4 book. That's kinda cheap if it's good. Okay, no, it's not a full 300-page book. I just finished it and it has 10 chapters altogether. Good idea, really nice. When I first saw the next game, it was crazy to me that this game actually has 0 players. It also only cost $3.99. Just for the concept, I would have put it up in $10 easily. The year is 1941. You play as a Russian soldier in times of Nazis' occupation. The description says it all. The only thing it doesn't mention is that you're a Russian bear. Bear's Vodka Balalaika has everything. You're a bear, you can drink vodka and play your balalaika. I mean, doesn't that sound epic? How can you not want to play it? In the background, you are accompanied by this old Russian music while you shoot down your enemies. Despite having more than 1,000 reviews, the game has 0 players. Why? If you try to play it normally, you die in 3 minutes, because there's no real healing. I found out that you can just climb a mountain and get infinite kills, and after a few minutes, the music just stops and doesn't return. Drinking vodka and playing the balalaika also have no effects on the gameplay. They're just an emote. This had so much potential, but as beautiful as it is, it's the same thing every single time. As much as I love playing as a bear, it gets a bit boring after 10 minutes. It feels like it needs something more. Nobody plays it because you just don't play it for long. The next game calls itself a tank life simulator, but people don't think so, saying not even a simulator, just an early 2000 arcade game realized for $5. I don't think this game could be remotely called a simulation. But I don't know what people are thinking. This is a real tank simulator if I've ever seen one. The controls are, like in real life, delayed by 10 seconds. That's a 35-ton tank, what do you expect? Just like in real life, the tank also glitches around and has no real grip. And of course they added in the classic getting stuck in a fence mechanic we all know from battle. Machine gun shots are explosive and could blow up a house, and of course smoke is eternal. So in the first mission, when you blow up an oil department, you end up getting stuck because the smoke never fades and you can't see anything while the time runs out. Finally, a game that prepares you for the real struggles of battle. Okay, I'll stop kidding. This game is not a simulator. It has nothing to do with the real world. Heck, Helicopter Dating Simulator later on probably has more to do with the real world than this. Now, we're still a good stretch away from the very maximum, but the games are getting more expensive. Let's see if they also get better with a higher price. In Indian Naval Front 1971, they have big boats, small boats, jets, but most importantly, no weapons. In the controls, it clearly says fire weapon with the left mouse button. So when enemies attacked, I figure I press the left mouse button. Look how I'm pressing, but nothing happened. Look, I'm literally pressing the left mouse button. It's nice that they tried a pacifist approach to war, but this was just not much fun. One Tank Army, as goofy as it looks, is probably more realistic than Military Tank Life Simulator. One Tank Army had a good idea. You have to switch between driver, machine gunner and main gunner. It does the switching quite well. You actually feel as if you were doing the job of 3 people at once. Yes, it's almost too realistic, because sometimes you end up having no idea who or where you are, because there's no indicator. This makes it really hard to play, but the idea is solid. All hit, all her. This game really made me nostalgic. It totally reminded me of my childhood days, playing some of my very first games. There's no big world, you're just trapped in some base, with gameplay that is pretty straightforward. I just felt like I was young again. What made the experience even more nostalgic was that I immediately got stuck and didn't know how to progress. I picked up the key, but I couldn't enter through the doors. I literally pressed every button, but it didn't work. Exactly like back then. I always got stuck for the stupidest reasons. And here again, it was frustrating, but also somehow fun. After half an hour of struggling, I watched gameplay of the developer doing this part, and it took him only 1 minute, while I was still stuck after 30. The insane humiliation, exactly like back then. It looked like the developer just stood in front of the door for some time and then it opened. I tried that, didn't work. I really wanted to give up and forget about it, but then I found a post on the Steam forum explaining you need to press enter to open doors. I tried again and it worked. I swear to God, I had already pressed enter. Beautiful, just like a game from my childhood. Only that this is Chinese and made in 2021. It is so bad that I literally got childhood flashbacks from 2002 games. Though I wouldn't be surprised if the real 2002 game we'll play later was actually better than this. The next game is about the great battles of King Charles XII of Sweden. They really like King Charles here. There's community art, they have their own website. Charles launched a disastrous invasion of Russia, resulting in the complete collapse of the Swedish armies and the loss of Sweden's status as a great power. Charles no, but also somehow inspiring. So in the game, I also attacked the Russians and also suffered a huge defeat, resulting in the complete collapse of the Swedish armies and the loss of Sweden's status as a great power. Sorry Sweden, I did it again. From here on, the prices start growing much faster. We're already almost at $10 and it shows. The quality, though fluctuating, is definitely increasing. Crash Drive 2.
We're back to boats. Let's sink a few.
In the beginning, I was completely obliterated. I guess I'll do the tutorial first. Okay, the tutorial is done. I learned a few very interesting things. Let's sink some boats. Nice. Gotcha. Oh no, I would like to blow him up, but my periscope isn't raised. There's no auto aim for my torpedoes. What could I possibly... Haha, I played the tutorial, I can just line up my fire with his movement, and if my calculations are correct, BAM! Oh, it's too late for you. Now, for the next game, there are no words that could really describe what I felt while I was playing it. Before, I said the quality was increasing with the higher price. Well, often true, but also, I wouldn't call it creativity. This is something else. Attack Helicopter Dating Simulator made me feel so many things. It is exactly what you would expect it to be, and worse. You are an attack helicopter, and there are many other attack helicopters you can meet and date. Pretty much all helicopters are female, and they always get introduced like this. By agreeing to the EULA, you officially give your immortal soul to the studio and enlist in their protection squad against the CIA. The game is constantly trolling, and because of that, you need to save the game a lot. Because there are so many options that just insta-kill you and you have to restart the game. For example, when I met Augusta Westland AW129 Magusta, my teacher, both in the business of blowing up enemies and love, when I met him, I wanted to show him respect by pressing F. I literally pressed F, but that didn't work, so I clicked on the F, and the game told me I'm stupid, saying this is not how you press F, and killed me. My teacher, Augusta Westland AW129 Magusta, has some strong values. We went into battle trying to beat the enemies and deliver freedom, and one of the classmates, Viper, isn't so good with aiming. Viper's attack landed in the sea, and Magusta was like, "Whoa, you almost hit those civilians. Let me help you with that." And blows up the civilian boat. But he also has a soft side. When another classmate of mine blew up the oil department, he was shocked. No, not the oil. I'll need some time to process that. It's a game where you just can't stop playing in disgust, in amazement because of how absurd it is. They have jokes, they have romance, they have attack helicopters. This is a mix that some people find irresistible, because Melody on Steam has almost 2,000 hours in this. Do you need help? Only one other game later on could even come close to the insanity of Attack Helicopter Simulator. While playing Attack Heli Sim, I felt a lot of things. In tank zone battles, I just felt one: hatred. This little game reminds me of 1v1 Tanky Online, just very unfair. What was that shot? A bush? What, Melina? No! Let's go, Melina, you... Okay, that was satisfying. I didn't just feel hatred. From now on, every game is pretty much $10. And you know, that's a statement. I want $10 for this. My game is worth $10. Is it? Solo Flight looked promising in the start. Save your town after a giant alien worm rudely attempted to remove your civilization from existence. Start your engine, pilot, and welcome to Solo Flight. Should we buy the demo version or just play the real game? We'll try the demo, and if it's cool, we'll buy the full version. Hey, this is pretty fun. What a nice town. No, not the worm! And this is the end of the demo. Okay, Solo Flight, you got me hooked. I wanna take revenge now. I wanna exterminate the worm. Let's buy it. This turned out to be a horrible mistake, because in the full game, there is no worm. The game demo ends with the root worm the Steam description talks about, but the full game has flying through rings, dropping off packages, shooting towers, with no trace of the worm. Can you just tell me where it is? I wanna see the root worm. Even if it's just the end boss, there is no sign of my town. I don't know how it could get there. The story is just not addressed. This is sad. But at least this was still a game. Not like other, even more expensive disappointments we'll explore later. Where the last game left me open, wounded and dissatisfied, the next game made me feel awe, amazement and wonder. With this game, we can finally solve the mysteries that have plagued humanity for centuries. Instead of arguing like children with no facts, we can just get answers to questions we've all had for forever. Would 18 weaponized pigs defeat a T-Rex? No. Could a kangaroo with a flamethrower defeat rabid penguins? No, don't jump over them, attack! Bro, penguins are brutal, what? Could 100 humans defeat 3 dragons? Nope. But now the real question. Man and his best friend...
What the dog doing?
...against the entire animal kingdom. Whoa, okay, the tanks are just working through them. They have no chance. Beast Battle Sim, I think $10 is fair. I'll hope we have more solid, interesting games like this in the $20 range. It was definitely a new era game. And now let's compare it with the second oldest and then the oldest game of today's list. Elite Warriors Vietnam. You and your homies have to remove some unwanted people blocking the road. In Attack Helicopter Sim, Augusta Westland AW129 Magusta, my teacher, went through the effort of hunting out civilians, but here, rarely did I see such a trait of human decency in these military games. You must avoid killing civilians. The mission actually fails if you attack civilians. It's crazy. The entire jungle fighting is really intense. You can die very easily and the enemies appear out of nowhere. This game is not easy by a long shot, and I got my entire squad wiped out quite a few times. But then everything changed when I had reached this bad boy. Would you look at that? Using that and some dynamite, we could get rid of the enemies in the blockade and win the day. Very nice. And now Comanche 4 from 2002, making it the oldest game on this entire list. But far from the worst, both mechanically and graphics wise. It looks old, but not bad. The most important aspect was how I felt when playing it. This game just radiates nostalgia and after-school summer days. In the first mission, you go on a hunt for pirates, so you have a little chase with the pirate boats, which is just the right difficulty, and then afterwards I had to eliminate the rest of them in their base. The controls are intuitive, the difficulty just right, and the feeling is perfect. The last 3 games all deserved their price. It makes me almost think there could be a game that actually deserves a $200 price tag. I wonder if the next games can keep this up. Iron Wings is a game with very strange lip sync, and with that I mean none at all.
We were up against the whole world back then.
It also has the weirdest controls. My move down button started the bombing camera and my move left the bombing. Here you can see me struggling with the controls and realizing that if I wanted to fly this plane, I was screwed. This was not intuitive at all, and of course you can change everything in the settings except for this. I died a lot, didn't understand the lore, seems cool but didn't catch me. Dogfight 1942 was a pretty fun arcade type of game. It had a nice kill cam, but I don't have much to say. Dark Side of War. This game fully encompasses the phrase, the money's the same, whether you earn it or scam it. It has 3 levels and only 3 types of enemies. You walk through a labyrinth and shoot them. It isn't really bad, but it's so short that I could literally beat the entire game in 15 minutes. $10 for that is insane, but that was still better than Sky Hunter. This game doesn't start. I tried for half an hour, but all you get is this screen, all the time. $11 for literally nothing. Still not the biggest scam today. Wait for it, you will see. As uninteresting as the previous 2 were, the next game must have been popular at least at some point. I suspect before it was released. Flying Tigers, Shadows over China, has a huge wiki article, which is not very typical for dead games. It has 600 reviews and there's a deluxe edition, but still 0 players. What happened here? Well, this is what I'm thinking. They dropped the trailer in 2016 and it looks somewhat interesting. People are hyped, there are discussions between friends. A bunch of people genuinely look forward to it. They're curious, but when they drop the game, it's just nothing special. Playing it, there isn't much to say. It's not bad by any means. There will be more expensive games on here that couldn't even come close to this, but it's also not great, you know? It got mixed to average reviews. Some people liked it, played it, but nobody really fell in love. So after the first few years, it did not have any community left. It wasn't bad, just not so good that anyone would stick around. And that's kind of sad, because later on we will have games that are objectively worse. Don't believe me? I got proof already. Carrier Commander made me feel everything but a commander, because I was definitely not in command. I started out with this screen with no further explanation. I couldn't move, I didn't know what to do. I pressed random buttons until I became a helicopter who could use telekinesis to move around, even when he didn't have his blades active. I just chilled a bit on the ship and then realized I was getting attacked. I tried to come help but died in the sea. Then I became the big boat again, still couldn't move, still couldn't do anything, pressed some more buttons, which somehow made aircraft land on me. Then I pressed more buttons, which made a plane start and land at the same time. This ended in a collision, which somehow made me beat the first level with victory. How did this give me victory? What? The next game, Dawn of Aces, was just alright. A fun little plane fighting game, not much to say. But I do have something to say for the biggest disappointment on this list. I had high hopes. I badly wanted to like this. Iron Front. Going in, I had high hopes. In the trailer, this game looked really cool. You could not only be a soldier, but a pilot and in a tank and do all of this nice stuff. They made me start with shooting practice, which was fun. The weapons were smooth. It felt like I was really there. Changing weapons, however, I got stuck in the ground. I tried for several minutes to get out. I tried every movement key I knew, nothing. This made me so angry that my gun, I misclicked and accidentally committed treason. For that, I got executed. Yeah, this was the only way out of getting stuck in the ground. It was okay, until I had to bring this gun from A to B. Look, moving the gun in the beginning sort of worked. It took me 10 minutes because sometimes the move button was there, sometimes it wasn't. Then, once I had gotten it to the location, the gun was not accessible. I walked around, I tried to move it, I tried again. It just didn't seem to be possible. Bruh. I was stuck again. Not in the ground, but gameplay-wise. This game is really frustrating because even when things do work, it is painfully slow in registering that. And sometimes you just get completely stuck and have to restart. I had to do that twice in 1 hour. The potential was huge, but in the end, a disappointment. Still, you have not seen the worst game on this list. You will know when we are there. Now, there are only 8 more games to go, but we still haven't spent half the money of this entire video. Still $365 left. The next games better be good. Meanwhile, them. Hey, these are just the graphics, don't judge yet. This game had an interesting premise. Ectranoplans combat, which means you fight with boats that float on the water using the epic WIG effect. Am I even moving? This is my top speed? This is painfully slow. Oh, even combat is pretty boring. Still better than just driving. Okay, after 20 minutes of plain driving, I'm there. Bro, even the delivery is slow. Everything in this game is slow. Wait, I gotta do this 8 times? Oh hell no, this whole mission can take up to 2 hours of just driving straight? Oh man. Oh look, another enemy. At least I can... Pew! What? No. I have to start all over again? No, no, why didn't you tell me it was no enemy? Oh guys, can you hear that? It's time for... Helicopter, helicopter! Air Mission Signed was pretty straightforward.
Warbird's dogfights, on the other hand?
This game genuinely made me feel like I'm retarded. In the beginning, I couldn't control the plane for my life. In 1v1, I got constantly obliterated. Never once did I even get the enemy in my scope. It was humiliating. I thought maybe 1v1 wasn't right for me. And maybe it's true, because in multi-battles I finally landed a hit. Let's go. That was my teammate, wasn't it? I want to believe that I got better over time, because at some point I somehow got a kill. La Drang. Welcome, gentlemen. This game is honestly just pretty good. The controls are intuitive, the tutorial is not overwhelming, it has lots of mechanics and tactics. You can control troops, fly your helicopter, just a solid game. But the Steam reviews say it has been abandoned by the makers, so that's a bit of a shame. Graviteam. This is a strategy game and it has just a brutal introduction. I got overwhelmed by all the options and menus and lost track of what was going on. Look how many different camera modes there are. There's this mode that you get when you click on campaign. Then, once you click on something, the game crashes, and the next time you start it, you are in this mode, which has dogs barking constantly. And there's also this mode where you can witness the high intensity fighting. And then sometimes there are these squares. There's so much in the beginning, you don't even know what's going on. It's a lot, and I would have appreciated a smoother tutorial. But maybe I'm also just too stupid for that. Maybe I should go back to the basics. Start in a new army from the very bottom. And we will do so with the first out of the last 3 games. Finnish Army Simulator. This is the only game today that is still in beta phase. Compared to the 400 max players it once had, this game is just dead now. Doesn't mean that it can't return. Maybe the official release date will make this game more famous than ever. Or maybe the beta phase was its peak, like with Shadows over China. It reminded me strongly of Attack Heli-Sim, just with a different humor. We start in a bus, which delivers us safely to the military academy Squirrel Skin. Squirrel Skin. Look at the military police, what? I then found myself at the army introduction, where our charismatic military leader held a great speech.
Tähän auditorioon kuulemaan, missä ominaisuudessa saatte palvella.
Then I had the opportunity to meet my fellow soldiers. Some of them normal, some others. As much fun as I had with the game, I feel like 2 hours in, it's just more of a role-play game with minigames in between than a game. The main selling point is the storyline, mixed with a lot of minigames. It has action, but it doesn't feel like you can fail really. You just start again, and the minigames aren't really that exciting. That's why it doesn't have a huge replayability factor. Other than that, a really good funny game. Something that cannot be said about the second most expensive game today. Klotzen Panzer Battles. Okay, seems pretty tactical. I wonder if it's complicated. Guys, I'm more than 1 hour in. I haven't even completed the second out of 3 tutorials. If you want a complicated game, this is it. The real fight in this game is not with the enemies, but with the interface. Clicking this lever is how I get to the next round? What? You also have to do a very short click, not a long one? How am I supposed to know that? It also told me about the 4 different menus. I searched 5 minutes for them, and in the end there were these buttons. Yeah, they're roughly called the same, but could you just give me an arrow? Give me some highlighting? Everything is represented in hexagon coordinates, and on the entire interface here, this is where it tells you which hexagon you have selected. I don't know who my enemies are, because all cities are just red. The strategy aspects might be fine, but I don't really understand the interface. For $35, that's tough. I feel disoriented, and it's really hard to get anywhere. And now we make a huge jump. From $35 to $195. This is by far the most expensive game on this list. I have learned that just because something is more expensive, looks crazier, has more of everything, it isn't better. The first Battle Simulator had less fighters and was cheaper than a 1000-man general, but still way more fun. The funniest strategy game today was Commander World War II. After that came cheap rip-offs and tutorials that went on for hours. The later games had more, but that was often too much. When I was at $0, I thought things would get better when they cost something. When I was below $5, I thought $10 would be amazing. At 15, I still had hopes. Now, one step before $200, I've got a bad feeling about this. After military soldiers, soldier ducks, tanks, planes, warships, the only thing that is missing is trains. This is either really good or an absolute scam. We of course go with fantastic graphics. Let's see what $200 gets you. Oh, they want me to buy more of their games? Nah bro, let me just play. Okay, this is it. Oh no, the language doesn't work. It looks heavily like a scam. Only English is possible. And not even that is correct. What do you mean I can view a different train skin? You can only do exit or play. Nothing else. So I guess we'll play. Playing this game is horrible. All you can do is go forward or shoot the boss. Your ammunition is very limited, so you constantly have to pick up new ammo. Some stuff you can literally not pick up because it's not on the tracks. Why is this here? The entire map is the rails, which are a square. And I mean that. They didn't even invest the effort to make curved rails, so your train just gets rotated once you're at the edge. There's no way to stop it. You can't run away, and even if you shoot at it, you can't kill it. So after 2 minutes, you just always die, no matter what you do. The disappointment this game was, however, was nothing compared to the disappointment I felt when my childhood game was ruined. It's also dead now, but at least the memories live on. Make sure to check that video out.